Yep, it's true. I was making over $90,000 a year and I walked away from all of that. On paper, it looked like I had everything figured out, but in reality, I was as lost as any 5-year-old kid looking for their parents at the supermarket aisle. I felt so disconnected from my everyday life, from who I truly was. This isn't a story about me complaining or trying to grab attention. Rather, this is a story about the quiet realization that I was becoming someone I couldn't recognize in the mirror every day anymore. So, the point of this video is to share my story and to hopefully make some of you out there feel like you're less alone. Let's rewind and let's go back to the start of how I even got to this point in the first place. So, a little bit about my backstory. I was not the smartest kid at all. I was a very mediocre student in all of my life. I think primarily, though, I excelled a little bit more in creativity and arts, but that's really about it. Growing up, I didn't have the best relationship with my parents. These few variables and factors, since my upbringing, have contributed to this idea of Asian parents comparing you to other people. And I quickly learned that the idea of success was really in how much money you make in the eyes of your Asian parents. So, why does this matter? I graduated university back in 2021 during the height of COVID, and I was in my mid 20s by that time. Why did it take me so long? Well, I went through a couple of different paths that I thought was pretty cool. I tried out hairstyling. I did a different degree at first, and then finally I settled into a business major. I thought that a business major would be the most suitable and practical major for me because I didn't know what the fuck I was gonna do. And I thought that was my guarantee of finding a job. I didn't know what job, but I just needed a job. And so I worked really hard in university to make sure I was able to secure 2 job offers before I even graduated. During this time, I was really not having a great time with my family. Our relationship was so bad by this point that I just kind of took whatever offer was thrown at me. Not that the offers that I got was bad, but I took the first offer I got and graduated and moved my ass across the country where I was then making $60,000 a year. And I thought that was a lot of money. That was my first real step of becoming independent. And it was a moment where I was super proud of myself and I had finally broken free from being dependent from my family, and I felt like I had made it in the big city, working a big boy corporate job. As well, in this city, I was able to make brand new friends, establish a new community of people that I relied on. I was able to go out to eat every weekend, travel a few times a year, and just really start living my best adult life. But everything changed in 2023, and I'll tell you why. So by 2023, I had already switched jobs from the first corporate job that I had to a software startup. Because at the time, startups were really hot and coming. And me landing this job meant I had increased my salary significantly. I was not a software engineer or a consultant or anything like that, but I was in marketing. And I think that was a lot of money to be making for a marketing person. Needless to say, I think that $90,000, although not a lot of money compared to some of my peers, it was still a lot of money for myself. So, what's the problem, you may ask? Well, I think because of my childhood, I was pretty much trying to prove everyone wrong about myself. I knew I was never really like the studious type of student, even though I did do okay in university and I guess in my career. So for me, making that amount of money was really something that proved a lot of people wrong in the sense that like I can also achieve the same level of success as everyone else if I really put my mind and hard work into it. I mean, even though like I was like super grateful to be making the amount I was making, but I just felt deep into my core that this wasn't who I am and this is not what I'm supposed to be doing. And so I decided to walk away from all of that by the start of 2024. So there wasn't one specific aha moment that led me to quitting my job and walking away from my life that I had lived. But I think there were just a series of moments that just built up on each other, which made me feel so uncomfortable and leaving with me the question of what am I even doing with my freaking life? But if I were to group them into four different categories, it would be one, the job in itself, two, my health and lifestyle, three, my career, and four, exploration. So, number one, the job in itself. I think this one was pretty self explanatory for me. I knew that this job was really not a good fit. So, I was hired originally into this role under a different manager in a different role. Now, I was doing this role for about half a year or so, and then by then, my manager had left. New manager that came into the team. And by then, a lot of other team members that were hired at the same time that I was on the team had also left the company. So we had to completely rebuild a new team and under a new manager. I think I first knew it wouldn't work out because I just did not vibe with my new manager. I think we just had very different conflicting viewpoints of how my role would have been. I'll keep in mind that my role had changed significantly from what I was hired to do. When I was hired, I had the expectation that I would learn and evolve under my previous manager. And so I just had a really hard time working under this new manager. I think what also didn't help was that we were in a very challenging business. It was really difficult for us to get new customers. And so we were in a very niche market and the economy wasn't doing great. And I just clearly was not passionate and not aligned with the industry and the role at the end. So that was the first reason. My lifestyle was really not it. Yeah, like I still went to the gym and I still did all the things that I needed to do to maintain an active lifestyle, but I was constantly stressed and depressed, and I had this intense brain fog when it came to work. I remember I would roll out, like I would have these like 9 a.m. meetings, and I was literally just roll out of bed at like 8:55, wash my face, brush my teeth, and just like sit in this meeting for the next hours. And I just remember like feeling so anxious all the time, and just I remember that was just like really taking a toll of like my mental health. And now that I look back into it, that was really also a reason why like I was partying so much with my friends. Like, we would always just go to like events, get like super fucked up and like party until the morning. And I think that was like my way of trying to escape my reality that I was just not happy about. Because ultimately, I was really tied to this job, and I was at the mercy of this job. And so I just felt like I was slowly losing the person and the happiness that I once had for life and the confidence as well, because I was constantly being like talked down to by my manager in my role, and it was just really bringing me into like a very negative place every day. Number 3, career. So I think with a lot of people, we tend to kind of just like fall into careers that we didn't really seek out for. So for me, I didn't exactly major into marketing. Yes, I studied business, which is the overarching umbrella of marketing, as in marketing is the arm of business. But it was never really my intention to go into marketing because I just didn't know what I wanted to do. Why I fell into it was because it was a way to blend creativity and business together. But however, I soon learned that working in marketing can be an absolutely big shit show. I think the work in itself just became so draining that it felt like none of this really matters. The deadlines, the creatives, the colors, like the text. Why are we spending so much time going back and forth with our reviews session? Like, do you think this one copy would really be the final decision of a $1 million contract or not? Like, I don't think so. But anyways, I think at that time I just was feeling so burnt out from this career and the people that was in it. And I'm not saying I don't have any fault into all this. Like, I'm obviously the person in charge of my own life, 100% accountable and responsible for my own life. But that was just my experience, but was not limited to my experience based on the people I've had interactions with. So that leads me to my 4th point, exploration. So I think at the time, like I was feeling super trapped, right? With like all of this going on. I really felt like I wanted to go out and explore and try new things. Like, why am I mentally designed to just think about careers that are corporate or like white office jobs? Why not something more unique or different? I don't know, like maybe becoming an artist or a creator or something. I really trained my brain growing up into this person that I won't be successful unless I go down the corporate route. And I think that mindset is so unhealthy because, first of all, I think we really need to take a step back and define what our definition of success is. And I think for the longest time, my definition of success is making a lot of money. But why is that? And I thought about it, and it's because growing up, my family did not have that much money or resources to be able to live a comfortable life. I was mentally trained to think that money is the ultimate definition of success. And by going to business school, that your career is really meant to be for the corporate world, and that's where you will make the most money, which simply isn't true. And so I wanted to challenge myself and really think about what is it I can do outside of this corporate life. And so, something that I've always been wanting to try is YouTube. And so this is why I'm making this video, right? I wanted to challenge myself and just like explore and do and try new things, which, who knows, may unlock some new paths that I would never have explored if I did not go out and venture and try something new. So those were the reasons that ultimately led me to walking away from my $90,000 corporate job at the start of 2024. Nope, I had zero idea what I was going to do after I left my job. I had no backup plan, honestly. I was struggling back and forth on whether I should just look for a new job and try that out instead and see if that would help. But ultimately, I decided to leave Canada. I think I was just so mentally tired that my loose idea was to go back to Asia and to travel around China to explore different areas of China and see what's out there, and perhaps make travel YouTube videos along the way. But that didn't quite work out because I eventually ended up in Hong Kong and I went back into another corporate job. But that's a story for another time. I ended up leaving that job earlier this year, and since then I've been unemployed. And now I came all the way here to Japan, and I'm now enrolled myself into Japanese classes where I'll be taking this for the next few months, and seeing where that goes. But also trying to explore YouTube and being a content creator for the very first time, seriously. But I'm not gonna lie, and I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. Like, it is really freaking hard, and I'm not telling you to quit your job because that is not the magic solution. I simply felt like I needed to leave my situation in order for me to get my new life started. But quitting your job without backup plan isn't for everyone, and I definitely don't recommend everyone to do it. The reason why I was able to do this was because I knew I wanted to quit my job down the road, and months leading up to it, I have significantly cut down on my spending and saved up a big decent chunk of money where I could then rely on that for at least a year. And while I don't have the answer yet, I think it's okay to just not know and to not expect yourself to have all the answers available, right? But I think the most important thing is going out there and taking action and try new things, because through process of elimination, you really wouldn't know what you want until you go out there and try it. Now I'm starting over again in my late 20s, but I think that starting over is also a beautiful thing because I would rather start over new, afresh, and somewhere I want to be than being stuck in a cycle that I knew wasn't going to make me happy in the long run, and that I wasn't going to continue to grow. And you know what? People nowadays change careers all the time, right? They change their careers, 4 or 5 times in their lifetime. There was Vera Wang, for example, who became a wedding dress designer after the age of 40. So it's never too late to keep trying to look and figure out what your dreams are. I hope this video was really helpful for some of you out there who may feel like they are stuck in a similar position like I was. I know it's scary and it's anxious, not knowing what your life will turn out. But that is also a beautiful part to life, isn't it? Not knowing what your journey will look like and having that opportunity to go out there and explore it. And with that, I want to end this video in one very special quote that really helped me into making all the decisions that I've made so far. When it feels scary to jump, that is exactly when you jump. Otherwise, you end up staying in the same place your entire life. And that I don't want. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you found it helpful. If you have any questions, feel free to leave me a comment down below and I'd be happy to address them.